guess we're going to need it. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه من والاه وبعد. We still commenting on hadith Abi Hurairah رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من أدرك ركعة قبل الصبح قبل أن تطلع الشمس فقد أدرك الصبح ومن أدرك ركعة من العصر قبل أن تغرب الشمس فقد أدرك العصر. متفق عليه. ولمسلم عن عائشة رضي الله عنها نحوه وقالت سجدة بدل ركعة ثم قال والسجدة هي الركعة. That Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever catch one rak'ah of the Fajr prayer before sunrise have caught the Fajr prayer, and whoever caught one rak'ah of Asr prayer before the sunset, he has caught the Asr prayer, and he prayed on time, or prayed in time. He prayed in time, not on time. On time at the beginning of the salah time, but in time. And this salah we call it ada, because you remember we talked about there is salat called ada, which when you pray it in time, and there is a prayer called qada, which when you pray it after the time. Each salah has a beginning and end. If you pray after the time finished, it's called qada. But what do we call the salah that is done before the time? What if somebody prayed the salah before the time? After the time we call it qada. But before the time, what do we call it? Nothing. It's invalid. So let's say you prayed Fajr, then you find out I prayed before time. That salah is invalid. It's not Fajr. Inshallah, volunteer prayer, Allah reward you for it, but it's not valid. It's not la qada wa la ada wa la, it's nothing. Okay? And in one narration she said, whoever caught one sajda, and sajda means rak'ah. Sajda means rak'ah. And we talked about many issues related to this hadith. We said, for example, one of the most important things is to differentiate between madhab al-jumhur and madhab al-ahnaf, that the majority of the fuqaha said that this hadith is very explicit, that if you caught one rak'ah before the sun rise, you have what? Caught the salah, and your salah is valid. Versus the ahnaf, who said if you prayed one rak'ah, then the sunrise, okay, or the basically where the sun come up, you have to stop the salah. The salah became invalid, and you have to quit and not to complete the salah. And they consider that because this is a time where there is a forbidden, salah is forbidden, and they believe that you can't pray. And that's one of the major differences between the Jumhur and the Ahnaf and the Hanafis in regard to this. So the Ahnaf looked at the ahadith that speaks about we should not pray when the sun rises or the sun goes down. But they did not take this hadith. While the Jumhur said, no, the ahadith that forbade praying when the sun rises or the sun comes down are accepted as well. But there is exceptions. These are general, and there is exceptions. And the exception is when you forgot about a salah. You slept, you forgot about it, you were sick, and you just now got your strength to pray. They said in this case, you are allowed, because the Nabi ﷺ said, فَقَدْ أَدْرَكَ. that means he caught the salah. So that means it's valid. And that's why they did not agree, the majority of the fuqaha al-Islam did not agree with that opinion by some of the Hanafi scholars, or the Hanafi scholars rahimahumullah ta'ala. And also we talked about the person who was excused from salah, then the excuse removed when the salah time comes. Like for example, a sister who had her menses, okay, and her blood stopped, let's say before Asr end. What will be the ruling in this case? Then we talked about what if the excuse take place during the time. Let's say the period started in the end of Asr time. Does she need to pray Asr later on when she finish her period or not? And we talked about these as well, these two issues. Then we talked about, yes?
For the period where you can't pray, does that include the two rak'ah for the masjid, where you come to the masjid and pray those as well?
We're going to talk about this right now, today, hopefully. Then we talked about a person who was excused from salah the whole entire time. We said if sister had her period from Dhuhr all the way to Asr and Maghrib the whole day, so that day she doesn't need to do. She doesn't need to make that these days up. But the only difference was if somebody in coma, and we talked about if somebody got in coma, I don't know if you remember, and he missed 2 salah or 3 salat or a whole day, and he woke up, he was in coma in the hospital, or he take anesthesia and put him to sleep. Like I know someone who just had a open heart surgery. So it was 10 hours. Start 10 hours in surgery, or 11 hours in surgery. So if this person missed salawat, Dhuhr and Asr, so what will be the deal with someone like that? And we talked about this issue as well, and we mentioned that the ulama rahimahumullah have different opinions. They said the first opinion was if the person was in coma or fainted, if there is no salah on him, so any salah that if he woke up after the Dhuhr time finish, he doesn't have to make up the Dhuhr salah or Asr salah. But if he wake up before Asr end, he has to pray Asr. If he woke up before Maghrib end, he has to pray for Maghrib. And also we said that Imam Ahmad rahimahullah took the opposite position. He said whatever salah you missed, you have to do. So all the salawat that you missed, you have to pray. So in coma 3 days, you have to pray these 3 days. Okay? And we said that this is his position rahimahullah. The first one who said you don't have to is the Shafi'iyya and the Malikiyya. The Ahnaf, they said if the coma is more than 5 consecutive prayers, he doesn't need to make it up. But if it's less than 5 consecutive prayers, you have to make it up. So somebody got in coma and he missed Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and he woke up. They said he has to pray these 4. But if he missed Isha until Fajr, next Fajr came, he doesn't have to pray these 5 prayers. Or from Dhuhr until the next day Dhuhr. You follow me? And I don't know if you remember or not. And they basically, they said because that's Ali radiallahu anh did that. Ali radiallahu anh, أغمي عليه 4 صلوات فقضاهن. He fainted, and he missed 4 salah, Ali radiallahu anh, and he made them up after he woke up. And also they said, so this is what they use this as an evidence to say if it is five prayers, you don't have to. Less than five, you have to make it up because of Athar Ali radiallahu anhu. And we said that the fourth opinion was that if you got in coma because you introduced this to yourself, like anesthesia, or somebody used drugs and fainted or anything like that, okay, we said there is no qada. You don't have to make it up. But if you introduce this to yourself, you have to make it up. But if you didn't introduce it to yourself, like the person got an accident and got in coma, they said no qada on him. Only qada if you put yourself into sleep, like taking anesthesia or operation. طيب. And now we will talk about, since we talk about caught the salah, how can you catch salat al-jama'ah? What consider, you know what, I prayed salat al-jama'ah. What consider praying salat al-jama'ah? Yani, when do I say I prayed salat al-jama'ah? By praying one full rak'ah? By praying any part of the salah? Let's say you came and they prayed dhuhr and they were at tashahhud and you stood with them in tashahhud. Would you consider prayed, that's asr now, you came and they were making tashahhud and you caught them in tashahhud. Can you call yourself, I prayed asr in jama'ah, in congregation? Would you take the ajr of it? The first opinion, al-ulama rahimahullah said, and that's the opinion of so many of the Shafi'iyya scholars and Malikis and some Hanabila as well, and the choice of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah and Ibn al-Qayyim, and many of the modern days scholars from my teachers like Shaykhna Shaykh bin Baz rahimahullah, Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, and many others. They said that in order for you to catch the jama'ah, the praying jama'ah, you have to catch one full rak'ah. You have to pray one full rak'ah. So you have to have the surah, ruku', sujood. You have to have full rak'ah in order for you to be considered prayed jama'ah. Or would say from the ruku'. Yani you come before the ruku' and you catch the ruku', because if you catch the ruku', you catch the rak'ah. Okay? Why? Because the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man adraka rak'atan min as-salah." If you catch one rak'ah from the salah. So if you catch one rak'ah from the salah, it consider catching the salah. If you catch one rak'ah before sunrise, you catch the salah. So that's one. Also they said, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, من أدرك ركعة من الصلاة مع الإمام فقد أدرك الصلاة. Sahih Muslim, whoever catch one rak'ah with the imam caught the salah. And this is in Sahih Muslim. مع الإمام, with the imam, is a narration in Sahih Muslim, by the way. Yani the hadith that we read earlier from Bukhari Muslim, whoever caught one rak'ah without the word with the imam, the famous narration, catch one rak'ah before sunrise, catch one rak'ah before sunset. But there is one narration, Sahih Muslim says, whoever catch one rak'ah with the imam. Okay? فَقَدْ أَدْرَكَ الصَّلَاةِ, have caught the salah. This additions with the imam, Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah has a very good talk about, if somebody interested. And in Irwa al-Ghalil, in his book Irwa al-Ghalil, and he leans towards that this narrations, even in Sahih Muslim, but he believed it is weak. He's believed that this narration in particular is weak, and he said it's shadh. Yani shadh, it means it contradicts the other narrations, and he said it doesn't fit with the other narrations. It contradicts them. It doesn't fit. So that's why he considered it weak. But you might say, Sheikh, how can we say Sahih Muslim and it's weak? We thought all Sahih Muslim and al-Bukhari are authentic. This is an important point in this time, especially where internet world made everything possible to research. Nobody, as far as I know, among Ahl al-Ilm, ever said that every single thing in al-Bukhari Muslim is everything written in it is authentic. But they say there is no a full hadith is weak. Yani there is a whole entire narration weak. Okay? The overwhelming number of the Muslim Ummah have accepted Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari as authentic source. And they said that the ahadith, which is musnada, narrated by isnad, and they are part of the actual text of the book, is authentic. The debate happened between the scholars over alfaz fil ahadith, some wordings, some additions. So this hadith, the original of it, whoever catch one rak'ah, catch the salah, is authentic, hands down. But this addition with the imam, is it correct or not? And many examples like this in the Bukhari or Muslim. You will find the hadith itself is correct, but maybe there is one addition, there is one narration, added some extra information, some specific information, some explanation. These extras, where the debate comes. Some ulama accepted, some ulama rejected. Some say it's authentic, some it is not authentic. You follow what I'm saying? So that's very important distinguish to be made. So nobody can deceive you and tell you, oh, Ad-Daraqutni, Ibn Hajar, ulama have criticized the narrations in Al-Bukhari Muslim. Yeah, they criticize the narrations that has certain additions. But nobody came and he said, this hadith from the beginning is weak. Nobody said this hadith, there is a whole entire hadith completely is weak. You might find in Hadith Muslim, or for example, one narration says, فَلَا تَعْلَمُ شِمَالُهُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُ يَمِينُهُ مَا تُنْفِقُ شِمَالُهُ. In one of the narrations in Sahih Muslim, for example, so his right hand will not know what his left hand giving. The authentic narration is, you're fasting, that's right. What is his right hand giving? So the left will not know what's the right hand giving. But one of the narrator said, the right will not know what's the left. We call this maqloob, inqalab. He confused. He mixed it up. That's weak. That's weakness. But it doesn't make the whole entire hadith weak. You see what I'm saying? It's just that one particular narration is weak. And pointed out. Same thing in the Bukhari, for example. Ulama criticize some of the narrations in Sahih Bukhari has to do with Hadith al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. There is some of the Hadith Anas and others. There is some of the narration. There is certain additions, certain wordings. Just one or two words, three words. Some ulama criticize it. But the hadith originally about Isra al-Mi'raj is authentic. The second opinion, they said, and this is the majority of the Hanabila took that position, and so many of the Shafi'iyya, they said that you catch the salah by catching takbiratul ihram. If you say Allahu Akbar with the imam, I don't mean takbiratul ihram of the imam. You made takbiratul ihram, Allahu Akbar. Then he said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, I got the jama'ah. So even if I come in the last second of the salah, before he says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, I just said Allahu Akbar. I didn't even go down to tashahhud yet. I didn't even sit down yet. They said, you catch the jama'ah. So you catch the jama'ah by only saying Allahu Akbar. Takbiratul ihram. You don't need to have full rak'ah. So you see, this is like kind of two opposites. What's their proof? Yes.
We quoted that hadith from Aisha before, I think 2 weeks back, where it was about sunrise, that you have to go to sajda to get the reward for the prayer.
Yeah, whoever catch one sajda.
One sajda. So can you relate that
to this opinion?
Catching the rakat. So what's the ruling for catching the rakat?
So the first opinion said you have to full rak'ah. Because this hadith Aisha that you mentioned, it says whoever catch one rak'ah. طيب? One of the narrations said one sajda. But sajda, it means rak'ah. Sajda, it means rak'ah. It's like, it's a metaphor. I mentioned the sajda, but I mean the whole rak'ah. But there is another opinion, says sajda, it means if you catch from the salah as much as the time of one sajda. There's two understanding of the hadith. And because of this two understanding, you have two opinions. So those who said the hadith, whoever catch sajda from the salah have catch the salah, it means as much as the sajda. So they said, what as much as sajda will be? Short period of time, which is enough to say, Allahu Akbar. So they said, that's why there's Hanabila and many of the Shafi'iyya said that. They said, any amount of salah you catch, even if it is Allahu Akbar, it will be sufficient. That's why Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah said, if you come and the Imam in the last tashahhud, okay, and you say Allahu Akbar to enter the salah, for takbirat al-ihram, and he said, and you enter, then he makes salam, that consider you have caught the jama'ah. طيب. Why? Because in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they have many evidence. One of it, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, one of the hadith that we said, Aisha, whoever catch sajda, and they say sajda means as much as sajda, yani short period of time. But there is more a hadith which is more explicit about this. Number one, they said, in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إذا جئتم إلى الصلاة ونحن سجود فاسجدوا ولا تعتدوها شيئا ومن أدرك الركعة فقد أدرك الصلاة. He said, sallallahu, if you come and you find us in sujood, join us in sujood, but don't count it as one rak'ah, because rak'ah cannot be catch from the sujood. You have to catch it before ruku'. Okay? So they said, Nabi said, if you find us sujood, enter with us sujood. So that means we have to enter to the jama'ah in any form. Also more authentic than this hadith, because this hadith ibn Khuzaymah and al-Hakim fi Sahaha as well, reported by al-Hakim, and he said it sahih. There is a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim, hadith Abi Qatada radiyallahu anhu, that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, فَمَا أَدْرَكْتُمْ فَصَلُّوا وَمَا فَاتَكُمْ فَقْضُوا وفي رواية فَأَتِمُّوا. This hadith, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you come to the salah, whatever you catch, pray. So whatever, so if you come and you catch them praying tashahhud, pray. And whatever you miss from their prayer, make it up. But here the narration said not make it up. The narration said فَأَتِمُّ, complete. I'm used to that narration which it says make it up. Complete it. So, and this is in Sahih Bukhari Muslim, complete it. So complete it, it means I am in already. That's right. If I say completed, that means I'm part of it. So Nabi said, whatever you catch, pray. And whatever you miss from it, complete it. So if I catch the tashahhud, that means I am in the salah. And I will finish my salah later on. I will stand up and pray my 4 rak'ahs and finish it. I will complete my salah. So that means catching the tashahhud means I caught the jama'ah. I'm part of the jama'ah. I'm part of salat al-jama'ah. Is that clear or repeated? Clear? Sister? Okay, good. What it seems to me, that catching the jama'ah is levels. I cannot say that catching the tashahhud equal to being here in the first takbirah. It's impossible for me to see that as one level. So what it seems to me, wallahu a'lam, that al-jama'ah catching it in different levels. Okay? The minimum is to catch even takbiratul ihram. You take the minimum of the jama'ah. But the earlier you come, the more reward of the jama'ah that you get. So I lean towards the second opinion, technically, but with that cap that I put. طيب. Question. If you come and they praying tashahhud, what is the best thing for you to do? You join them, or You wait until other people come and you start your own jama'ah, or you wait until they finish and you ask one of them to pray with you. Join. Yeah, there's another opinion. Why join?
So you have part of Jama'ah present.
But based on the difference of opinions that we just learned, what do you think the opinions of the scholars will be in regard to this? Huh? So the one who said you need to catch one full rak'ah, they said don't join. Why? Because you're not going to catch the ajr of the jama'ah. But if you do another jama'ah, you take the ajr of the jama'ah. Excellent. Those who said catching anything of the salah, join, because you will catch the ajr of the jama'ah. طيب? And that's absolutely true. And I do believe you join. Not only because you catch the ajr of the jama'ah, but because hadith Abi Qatada, I said earlier, that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, فَمَا أَدْرَكْتُمْ فَصَلُّوا. Whatever you catch, pray. And whatever you miss, complete. So he said, whatever you catch. Did not make any exceptions about tashahhud or no tashahhud or sujood. Also, and that's why Imam ibn Hazm rahimahullah ta'ala said, it is wajib to join. Abu Hurairah also reported that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا جِئْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ وَنَحْنُ السُّجُودِ فَاسْجُدُوا. If we are in sujood, join the sujood. And don't count it as rak'ah. So if we join him in sujood and it's not going to be a full rak'ah like the ajr of the jama'ah, so why not the tashahhud as well? Also Ali ibn Abi Talib and Mu'adh ibn Jabal both said that the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا أَتَى أَحَدُكُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ وَالْإِمَامُ عَلَى حَالٍ فَلْيَصْنَعْ كَمَا يَصْنَعِ الْإِمَامِ. That both narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, if you come to the salah and you found the imam in any situation, in any position, join him and do what he's doing. So if he's in a position of sujood, tashahhud, ruku', standing, you join and you do what's the imam doing. But this hadith, there is a whole debate over the authenticity of it. Al-Imam Al-Hafidh bin Hajar rahimahullah said it's munqati' and da'if. The chain of narrator is incomplete and it is weak. But it has many other narrations that can back it up. In Musnad Imam Ahmad wa Abi Dawood wa Ibn Abi Shaybah. And that's why other scholars consider it acceptable narrations. Yes.
I've seen it once, but I don't know if it's true. So people have to Jama'ah, and then someone joined at the last Jama'ah, and another person joined that person.
I'll talk about it. Very good question. I'll come to it right now. Also, there is number of early scholars among the Salaf. They came and they joined the Salah without have to be one full rak'ah. They just enter the Salah, even if the Imam in the end of the Salah. Like Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he came while they are in tashahhud, and he joined them. طيب? And when he saw them in tashahhud, he said, أدركتهم إن شاء الله, I catch the Salah. So that's what Ibn Mas'ud said. Shaqiq ibn Salama said, من أدرك التشهد فقد أدرك الصلاة. He's من كبار التابعين. And Al-Hasan al-Basri said, whoever, Shaqiq said, if you catch the tashahhud, you cut the salah. And Al-Hasan al-Basri said, if you catch the sujood, if them making sujood, join them in sujood. Don't wait. And that also show you, sometimes we come in the first rak'ah, okay? And the imam into sujood, we wait until he stand up. You should not. You should join the imam in whatever situation that he is in. And sujood goes, sujood. The only situation you cannot join him is what? No, even if it's about to get salam, if you catch him before say assalamu alaikum. The only situation that I saw people doing, it's kind of funny, it's common sense. He finishes tashahhud, sujood, the second sujood, and about to stand up, and they join. So they do like literally, like this. Khalas, if he's standing up, don't wait until he stand up. You see what I'm saying? If he's like, he join him literally when he's about to go up. Khalas, if he's going up, just wait until he stand up. Anyway, so these are the evidence for this opinion that you catch the salah regardless. One of the things that I see people do, that they come to someone who came late in the salah. Okay, let's say somebody came late and making up or completing his salah. Then the people who came late, he tap on his shoulder and he joined him. I consider this bid'ah, is innovations in religion, and have no basis in the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam or in anything in Islam to support such actions, because there is no proof for it. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they come late, they didn't join those who are making up any rak'ah. Or the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam never said anything like that, or recommended that, or said that this is an option. As a matter of fact, when someone come late, either the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say, "Man yatasaddaq ala hada," who will pray with this and take this person's ajr by joining him. So they start another jama'ah by themselves in the back. But no one ever, and none also known in kalam ahl al-ilm, in the opinion of the fuqaha, Islam, especially in the early time, that they said or suggested that you go to someone who's completing his prayer and you join him. Similar to this, if you see somebody praying by himself and you just go and join the person, you can't do that. You have to tell the people. What if he doesn't want to pray with you? Sometimes happened to me, somebody came and joined to me and I did like this to him. I said, no. What if I don't want? What if I believe that is not allowed to have second jama'ah in masjid? Because there is some Shafi'iyya believe second jama'ah in masjid, like the brother did right now, an invalid salah. What if I'm Shafi'i and I believe in this opinion? But what if I'm Hanbali and I believe that you cannot switch your intention in the salah? So if I start my salah as munfarid, by myself, I cannot switch it to be imam. They consider this invalidate your salah. Why would you put me in such position and confuse me? Okay, what if my recitation of the Quran is not good and now I'm stuck, I have to read Maghrib, wallah, you came and joined me to Isha, you embarrass me. I can think of many scenarios. And that's why I said there is no asl, there is nothing in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ or the Sahaba's practice to do any one of these things. You have two options. If you come late, either you have your own jama'ah or somebody make sadaqah on you, or you pray by yourself. Even if you come late and you find a second jama'ah, like here, when you come, you have an option to pray with them or to pray by yourself. Joining the second jama'ah is not an obligation. But joining the first jama'ah is an obligation. باتفاق الفقهاء. As far as you know, that's agreed upon between the fuqaha rahimahumullah ta'ala. Because that second jama'ah is not wajibah. What's wajib on you is to join the jama'ah ma'al imam al-ratib, with the imam, with the official one in the masjid. Yes?
If someone joined me and I already joined someone, shall I stop them?
Yeah, you can pray. The prayer is valid, but it's not. You can just make a sign to them, but sometimes they don't understand.
The other question is, if I'm praying the Taqwan, Subh, Fajr, and some person from my family is trying to join, if I make my prayer longer, is that wrong because I'm doing it intentionally for someone to join?
No. He said, what if I prolong my prayer so people can catch with the salah? Actually, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam prolonged his dhuhr prayer so people can catch the salah intentionally. Yeah, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes when I make ruku' and I feel somebody coming into the masjid, I might be prolong my ruku' so people can catch the salah. Okay. But it was not from the sunnah, and ulama, some of them consider it bid'ah, is when you enter and see the imam in ruku', you tell him, Inna Allah ma'as sabirin. You tell him, Allah with those who have sabr. Stay, until I catch. This is not correct because you communicate and you talk to the imam outside the salah, which is not correct. طيب.
What if you're praying sunnah and someone else joins, thinking you're praying but you end your sunnah the way?
It's allowed for you to pray. I don't believe your salah will invalid like some of the Hanabila said. No, I don't believe that. I think it's bad, but it's not convenient, it's not correct. I'm talking about the person who joined, he should not do that. But you can lead the prayer. And you can also not. You can completely ignore him. You can just pray your salah and you don't care about what that's his problem, not your problem. Him tapping in your shoulder, it doesn't make you instantly accept that. You can just pray your regular prayer. You don't care about him. Like you don't raise your voice, let's say Isha, you're praying Sunnat al-Isha and somebody tapping you and join your Isha. I'm not going to make it 4 for you. Okay, I'm just going to pray my 2 rak'ahs and that's it. I don't need to raise my voice. One of the things as we talk about catching the salah, one of the things that the Salaf used to care a lot about, and we don't, unfortunately, is takbiratul ihram. Catching takbiratul ihram. Takbiratul ihram is the first takbirah with the imam. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah said, وَالْمَنْقُولُ مِنَ الْآثَارِ فِي فَضْلِ تَكْبِيرَةِ الْإِحْرَامِ آثَارٌ كَثِيرَةٌ. What has been reported and narrated about the virtue of catching takbiratul ihram is so many. So many narrations from the Prophet ﷺ, but I will be honest with you, most of these ahadith that talk a specific virtue for catching takbiratul ihram is weak. There is not a single hadith talk about specific virtue for takbiratul ihram is authentic. Okay? The most authentic hadith, the most authentic, and by push we can say, okay, hadith al-Tirmidhi, where Anas radiallahu anhu reported that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, من صلى لله 40 يوما في جماعة يدرك التكبيرة الأولى. Whoever pray 40 days, consecutive days, in congregation, catching the first takbirah, كتبت له براءتان. It will be written for him 2 documents. And these 2 documents stating that he is free from hellfire, and the other one stating that he is free from hypocrisy. براءة من النار وبراءة من النفاق. This hadith was reported as Anas' statement, and it was reported as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ statement. روي مرفوع وموقوف. And At-Tirmidhi, who narrated this hadith, said, وَالصَّحِيحُ وَقْفُهُ. The authentic narration that it is mawquf. And Ad-Daraqutni said it is mawquf, only from the statement of Anas. But Shaykh al-Albani said, Anas cannot come up with this from his own opinion. This is the unseen. This is about, free from hellfire, from hypocrisy. That must be something he heard from the Prophet ﷺ. That's why even if we say the authentic narration is that it is Anas' statement, but we give it hukm al-marfu'. We give it the ruling of marfu'. So we say it is the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, because Anas will not say this from his own. Will not say this from his own. Because as you know, if there is a companion narrate a hadith, and in this hadith information impossible for the human being to come up with it from their own, this hadith we consider it a statement from the Prophet ﷺ. But with one condition, that this companion's known that he doesn't narrate from Bani Israel. This companion known that he doesn't narrate things from the children, he read in the books of the children of Israel, or the book of the Jewish or the Christians, or he met their scholars and he started narrating some of them narrations. So because he might talk about the day of judgment, or Adam alayhi salam, or Nuh alayhi salam, from what he heard from the Jew and Christians. If this is the case, there is possibility we don't take risk with the hadith. We don't say this statement is from the Prophet. But if a companion known that he doesn't take from Ahlul Kitab, like who take from Ahlul Kitab? Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. He narrates a lot from Ahlul Kitab narrations. But someone like Abu Bakr, someone like Umar, someone like Uthman, someone like Ibn Abbas. What do you think from Ibn Abbas? Ibn Abbas, there is debate. And there is a master, research papers presented as a master, for a master degree in I'm not sure if it's al-Qura University or not, but it was very interesting. I read it a long time ago. And the researcher in this piece, he did a great job of proving that Ibn Abbas did not narrate from Ahlul Kitab. To the contrary of what is known about Ibn Abbas, that he narrated a lot from Ahlul Kitab. And he actually defended his opinion with an absolutely convincing argument. And it's like 300-400 pages of work. It was excellent work that he went over all these narrations that is claimed that is from Ahlul Kitab, and it's not. That's why I do believe that Ibn Abbas is not among the people who narrate from Ahlul Kitab. So if he narrates something that's impossible for him to know as a human being except through the Prophet ﷺ, it means he heard it from the Prophet ﷺ. And we call this hadith marfu' hukman. As for the narrations from the Salaf about caring for takbiratul ihram with the Imam, it put us on shame. Wallahi, it put us in shame. Have you heard of a scholar's name, Ibrahim al-Taymi? Ibrahim al-Taymi هذا من كبار علماء التابعين, one of the great scholars of التابعين. He was killed by al-Hajjaj. He put him in Sijn al-Dimas, in a dry well. A well which is dry. He put him inside that dry well. No shade from the sun, no shade from the rain, and he stayed there until he died. No food, no drink, nothing. They keep them, and maybe if they want to prolong their life, they give them a little bit of food. But they keep them like this, and it's very humid, and it's a very bad way of killing someone. It's a torturing. He was threw inside it because he was trying to protect Ibrahim al-Nakhai at that time. The police came to his house and they said, "Where is Ibrahim?" They were searching for Ibrahim al-Nakhai. So he said, "I'm Ibrahim." So they got him. And by doing this, he gave a break to Ibrahim al-Nakhai to escape from his house. Okay? So after they find out that this is not Ibrahim al-Nakhai, this is Ibrahim al-Taymi. Okay? The police didn't know. So when they figured out that, Al-Hajjaj was mad and he said, "Okay, you want to take his place? You will not take his place, you will be with him. I will catch him." Okay? "And I will put you with him." So he threw him there and he died. He died in his early age, in his 20s. And he's one of the great narrator of a hadith, as a hadith in Bukhari Muslim. Anyway, Ibrahim al-Taymi used to say, إِذَا رَأَيْتَ الرَّجُلْ يَتَهَاوَنْ فِي التَّكْبِيرَةِ الْأُولَى فَاغْسِلْ يَدَكَ مِنْهُ. If you see the person does not care about catching the first takbirah, wash your hand from him. What that expression means, wash your hand from him. When do you wash your hand? No, after when you eat. When you wash your hand? After you finish, يعني غالبا, most likely, before and after. But in this expression, wash your hand, يعني خلاص, I'm done with it. That's right, I'm done with something. I just finished my work and I wash my hand, it's done. Okay? So that's an expression, it means you're done with that person. Yani it became useless. No benefit in it. So he said, if you see a person does not care about takbiratul ihram with the imam. Yani he knows that, you know what, takbiratul ihram is going to start. And he says, okay, it's okay, we're going to catch the salah. If he doesn't care about takbiratul ihram, wash your hand from him. That person worth nothing. Can you imagine that? Now we don't care about the jama'ah itself. The salah is going on and the first rak'ah goes, oh, I'm going to catch. You see people dragging their feet, outside, their feet outside, and salah starting, they don't care. Ibrahim al-Taymi said, you wash your hand from that person, there's no good in him. Mujahid said, سمعت رجلا من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا أعلمه إلا ممن شهد بدرا. I know one of the Prophet's companions who witnessed the battle of Badr. I don't know his name. Mujahid said. Said once to his son, أدركت الصلاة معنا. Did you pray with us? He said, yes, father, I did. He said, did you catch takbiratul ihram? The first takbirah. He said, no. He said, wallahi, what you have missed is better than 100 camels. Sudul uyun. Yani from the best type of camel. It looks like his son was in the market or on trade making business, so he came late. He only missed takbirah, the first takbirah. He said, wallahi, catching this takbirah would have better than earning or basically gaining 100 camels. By the way, 100 camels in just a simple format of calculation. The cheapest camel is about 100,000. So it's $1 million. Just simple. Yani as if you say $1 million or catching the first takbirah of the imam, first takbirah is worth more than that. قال وكيع ibn al-Jarrah, the great scholar of Bilad al-Sham, he said, كان الأعمش 70 years old. He never missed the first takbirah. 70 years old. And he never missed the first takbirah. وكيع said, not one, not two. قال وكيع اختلفت إليه سنتان. I studied with him 2 years. 2 years. I was there in Al-Kufa with him. I never saw him in the 2 years ever missed first takbirah in the masjid. And he's not the imam, by the way. طيب, if this is the case, my question to you, how would you catch the first takbirah? What will be considered catching the first takbirah? In the class of Bulugh al-Maram, we like to go in details. First opinion, that you catch the first takbirah al-ihram, if you are there behind the imam, when the imam says, Allahu Akbar. And when he says Allahu Akbar, and you behind him, standing, and he said, Allahu Akbar, you catch takbirah al-ihram. Okay? And that's the majority of the fuqaha. Shafi'iyya, Hanabila. طيب. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah was asked, how? He said to be there behind the imam to say Allahu Akbar with him. And right after he says. طيب. The second, and Shaykh Shaykh al-Uthaymeen also believe that. طيب. That's why Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah said, one of the mistakes that he sees people do, the imam said, Allahu Akbar. And he said, I see people what they do. I see people start making dua after that. So he said, I noticed that people said, Imam said, Allahu Akbar, people making dua, people making siwak. And the imam said, Alhamdulillah, Ya Rabbil. So they missed the ajr of the first takbirah. So Shaykh Uthaymeen said, you should immediately say Allahu Akbar when the imam says Allahu Akbar. Okay? The second opinion, they said no. it can extend until the Imam read Al-Fatiha. What's the difference between the first and second? The first said, Allahu Akbar. You say Allahu Akbar. Before the Imam starts reading what? Dua al-Istiftah. The second opinion said, no. As long as he did not start Al-Fatiha, you're good. If he said, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. But what about Dhuhr and Asr? Estimated. An estimation. Okay? What do you think the opinion, this opinion based on? What do you think, if you are the faqih who said this opinion, or what do you think the proof or the evidence that those scholars have used to say this opinion? The first one is obvious. You would catch Takbirat al-Ihram with him because linguistically, I am with him. He said Allah Akbar, I said Allah Akbar. I understand linguistically that's what it seems to be. But this one who said until Al-Fatiha is read. Yes. Another pillar. Very good. So they said Takbirat al-Ihram is pillar. Al-Fatiha is another. So you moved from one to another. That when basically you moved on. Where is Takbirat al-Ihram? It is in that period of time. It's like, when do you catch the ruku'? Before you stand up. Because you moved from one pillar to another. When you catch the first sajda, before you raise your head. So they said before you move to the second step, you're still in the first one. So when do you move from the first step, which is Allahu Akbar, by reading Al-Fatiha? Did you see how they look at it? طيب. And that's an opinion among the Shafi'iyya. But obviously, the first group said, no, you move from the first to the second when you start reading Dua al-Istiftah. So that's where the argue comes. They said, no, Dua al-Istiftah has not rukun. So anyway, the third opinion, which is interesting, they said, no. You catch Takbirat al-Ihram before he finish Al-Fatiha. Not if he start reading Al-Fatiha, before he finish Al-Fatiha. Because Al-Fatiha is a rukun when it is done, when you finish it. So as long as he didn't say Ameen, you're good. You cut Takbirat al-Ihram. And that's the opinion of Waki' al-Jarrah. Waki' al-Jarrah. He said, when did I catch Takbirat al-Ihram? He said, as long as he didn't finish Al-Fatiha, you catch Takbirat al-Ihram. Al-Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, when he heard that, he said, that's wrong. قال هذا غلط. That's wrong. He said, أنكره. He rejected this opinion, rahimahullah ta'ala. The fourth opinion, طيب, they said, as long as the Imam standing, you catch Takbirat al-Ihram. Oh, these guys are very generous. They said from Takbirat al-Ihram, as long as the Imam is standing. If the Imam goes to the ruku', why? They said, because Takbirat al-Ihram, mahalluha, it's time when you're standing. So any time while you're standing, it's considered. And that's opinion among the Shafi'iyya. The Ahnaf is the most generous. The Ahnaf said you catch the first takbirah if you catch the ruku'. The ruku'. Why? Because with the ruku' you catch the rak'ah. Okay? So the Ahnaf said as long as until ruku'. So you have 5 different opinions. What it seemed to be obvious to me, linguistically, is to catch Takbirat al-Ihram. It means to be there when the Imam say Allahu Akbar. If we say until ruku', there is no fadilah anymore. If you said until the Fatiha finished or until the standing finished, there is no special, it became nothing special anymore. It's about catching the first rak'ah, not the first takbirah. You see? So what it seems to be, Allah Alam, is the first opinion. I'm not going to be strict. Even as long as he said Allahu Akbar before he read al-Fatiha, and you catch it, you consider inshallah catching takbirat al-ihram. This hadith, which is the original hadith that we've been explaining for 2 weeks now, whoever catch one rak'ah before the sunrise, catch the salah. There is a very good lessons we can learn from it as well. It's not a fiqh lessons, but it is an interesting lessons, which is ما لا يدرك كله لا يترك شيء منه. And that's a lesson that I really think it's one of the principles in life that you should have. If you cannot have it all, don't leave it all. There is some people have this mentality, 100 or 0. It's either ya zamzam, ya wine. يعني استغفر just there's no uzarka in the middle, Okay, you don't need to go to the two extreme. If you cannot have zamzam, you can drink water. If you cannot, pray in Mecca, you can pray in the masjid. If you don't have the best imam, you have a good imam. If you can't pray Taraweeh with 1 juz, pray Taraweeh with half juz, quarter juz. Okay? With 1 page. If you can't pray 11 rak'ah, pray 1. قال أوتر ولو بواحد. Make witr even if it's 1. نعم العبد عبد الله كان يقوم من الليل. You're the best if you can pray a little bit from the night. So here we say, why we learn this? Because he said, whoever catch 1 rak'ah, catch the salah. So nobody can say, khalas, sun's almost up. I'm not going to finish even my salah before the sunrise. Khalas, let it go. We pray later on. This attitude doesn't work. If I can catch even 1 rak'ah, I will do it. And make this as your attitude in life. Don't ever delay or say, oh, I can't have it, I didn't pray on time. Like some people said to me that day, oh, I don't feel clean today. That's why I didn't pray. I sweat and I said, but you adding 2 problems, that you smell bad and now you don't pray. I pray at least. Okay, some people just, if you don't have it all 100%, you know what somebody said? No, I cannot wear hijab. Why? Sister, you can't wear hijab. Because if I wear hijab, I have to be so religious. I have to do everything. Try your best. Not because you cannot do it all, you leave it all. That's just wrong mentality. And in this hadith, we can learn that from it. Also, this hadith shows you how the sharia is so easy. Bifadlillah wa hamdih. Alhamdulillah, the sharia is so easy. You catch 1 rak'ah, not the whole salah, 1 rak'ah before the sunrise, you catch fajr. 1 rak'ah before the sunset, you catch asr. You catch the salat al-asr. You got it. The sharia is based on ease and giving flexibility and time. And that's something so beautiful that we can learn from this hadith. By the way, we talked about how the sujood can refer to, when he said sajda, it means the whole rak'ah, because in the hadith said, was sajda hiya rak'ah, sajda is the rak'ah. Because a sujood is one of the most important pillars of salah. Okay? And sometimes the sajda means rak'ah. For example, the Prophet ﷺ said, or Hafsa, she said, كان النبي يصلي سجدتين خفيفتين قبل أن يطلع الفجر. He used to pray 2 sajdas before Fajr prayer. What that means, pray 2 sajdas before Fajr. 2 rak'ahs, which is the Sunnat al-Fajr, the 2 rak'ah. So she said 2 sajdas before Fajr. So it means 2 rak'ahs. So the sajda referred to rak'ah. That's in the Bukhari. ولابن عمر قال صليت مع رسول الله سجدتين قبل الظهر. I prayed 2 sajdas with the Prophet before dhuhr time. Before dhuhr prayer, sorry. 2 sajda before dhuhr prayer, which is this 2 rak'ah sunnah for dhuhr prayer. So the word sajda used in many ahadith as what? As rak'ah. Sajda means rak'ah. Okay? Type question. Can ruku' be used also in a different format? For instance, can we say rak'ah and we mean sajda in Arabic language? Yes. Absolutely. In the Quran. وَخَرَّ رَاكِعًا وَأَنَابَ. About Dawood alayhi salam, Allah said وَخَرَّ رَاكِعًا وَأَنَابَ. يعني ايش راكعا؟ ساجدا. باتفاق العلماء خر راكعة, he fall to ruku', it means sujood. Okay? He didn't make ruku', he made sujood. That's why we do sujood, as one opinion among the ulama. Okay? في سجود تلاوة. طيب, can sujood used to refer to ruku'? Yalla, use your something that you heard recently in ruku', bowing. You heard that in the Quran not long time ago. ادخلوا الباب سجدا وقولوا حطة. ادخلوا الباب سجدا. Enter from the gate making sujood. All the ulama said making ruku'. How are you going to walk into the door making sujood? It's impossible. Okay? So what I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm trying to tell you that these words can be used exchangeably. So don't be stuck to think sujood, literally it has to be sujood or ruku'. واركعي مع الراكعين to Maryam عليه السلام. يعني مع المصلين. الركوع here means salah, the whole entire salah. Okay? So you have to look at the context. You have to look at the sentence. You have to look at the verse or the hadith, and you will be able to understand it. That's all what I have in regard to this hadith. It's the longest hadith we have, an explanation in so far, but it's also the most enjoyable because it's a very interesting debate. The next one is also 4 hadith together. I don't think we have time to read it right now. It's enough for you guys. I can keep going, but we'll stop here. My question for you, yes.
I have a question regarding Salah.
Yeah. طيب, my question, do you guys want to continue the class? Should we continue? Okay. I don't mind. Just because I just want to make sure that people inshallah. Next hadith will be talk about the issue that somebody asked about earlier, which is going to talk about there is times, 3 times, some ulama said 5 times, where as-salah is forbidden, or as-salah are not supposed to be offered. Okay? And we will come to know the fiqh of these ahadith, hadith Abi Sa'id, حديث عقبة بن عامر وحديث أبي هريرة وحديث أبي قتادة رضي الله عنهم جميعا إن شاء الله تعالى. And this will be next week inshallah, and it's very also interesting hadith. And these hadith about the salah, the time where salah is not supposed to be prayed, have also a lot of interesting and some of them funny stories we'll share inshallah next week about Ibn Hazm rahimahullah. Yes?
If you're traveling from west to east, long travels, do you cover the prayers? For example, 11 after 2 p.m. Then you're about from 7 a.m.
So I travel from here to London, for example. I leave Houston. There is a flight leave Houston actually at 5 o'clock or something like that. So, and you arrive there 7 a.m. And there is a flight leave at 8 and arrive there 11. So let's say I take the flight that leave early, 5 p.m. And how I pray? Type 5 p.m. If you prayed Asr before you enter the airplane, good. How can you pray Asr? You pray Asr by itself, or you join Dhuhr and Asr before entering the airplane. You can join Dhuhr and Asr, 4 rak'ah. But if you are in the airport, I do believe you can pray Dhuhr, 4, and Asr, 2, because it is already you're in state of traveling by being in the airport. Even some ulama said you can pray 2 and 2. Okay, but I do believe if Dhuhr came and the time came and to you, and you're still in the time of Dhuhr, and you're still in the city, and you're not in the road yet, you didn't leave your house, you didn't put your luggage in the moment you put your luggage in the car and you get out of the home, the moment you call Musafir. And when you arrive to the airport, you still continue Musafir. Some of the qasid, if you arrive to the airport, you're Musafir. Some of the qasid, you have to leave. But that's the most strict opinion in this regard. But anyway, so you pray Dhuhr and Asr, then you get into the airplane. When the dark comes, you pray Maghrib and Isha. When the light start coming, or the Fajr coming, you see the light coming in the horizon, you pray Fajr. And you have to be careful, you have to watch it carefully. Because I travel a lot this way, so you have to watch carefully to pray it on time. And sometimes just a few minutes actually. And the time, all of a sudden you have the light out, the Fajr gone. So you have to catch it accurately. And the opposite. You're flying from London to here. I left London, let's say 11 a.m. Okay? There is a flight at 11 a.m. There is a flight at 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. 1 p.m. and it's not Dhuhr there yet, let's say. I arrive Houston 5. So if I arrive Houston 5 after 9 hours travel, I can pray Dhuhr and Asr here or in the airplane. But the only thing, you have to face the opposite direction to make the Qibla in your seat. Because you can't face this way. If you're coming from London to Houston, you're on the opposite of the direction of the Qibla. So here we say, in this case, you can pray Dhuhr and Asr when you arrive or on the airplane. One of the most difficult situations is if you travel to Australia. When you travel to Australia, you lose day or you have extra day, or New Zealand. So I remember I left Australia on Friday Asr, and I arrived to Honolulu Thursday. I'm serious. I left Australia Friday Asr, and I arrived in Honolulu Thursday, because you have the daytime line. So, or I'm on Wednesday, and I flew from Guam Wednesday, I remember. I landed in Australia Friday. Thursday gone. Bah. See, so that's a problematic. We say in a case like this, you go with the time, but you make sure you don't pray more than 5 prayers in 24 hours. And you don't pray 2 Jumu'ah in 7 days. It's only 1 Jumu'ah a week. And it's only 5 prayers a day, night. So, yes.
I know if you're traveling from, say, a country that's 1 day ahead in the lunar calendar, the Israel calendar. So if I'm traveling, say, from Saudi Arabia to somewhere in India, Pakistan, where the calendar is lagging by a day, so you don't fast 31 days, you just fast 30 days. can't fast on itself. Can't you apply that in the prayer since you are say landing on the 28th of Ramadan and you already observed 28th of Ramadan back home?
Very good. When you move from one country to another, when in regard to fasting, you have to look into the two issues. Number one, you cannot fast more than 30 days, and you cannot fast 31 days or more, and you cannot fast 28 days or less. So it has to be 29 or 30. So if this traveling from one country to another is going to make you fast 30 or 29, is good. But if it's going to lead to fast 31 days, no. If it's going to lead to 28 days, no. So what I do in this case, that's the first thing you have to observe. The second thing to observe is not to break the jama'ah, is not to leave the country, is to be part of whatever the country you're living in, especially a Muslim country, and they declare Eid, you make Eid with them. If they declare this Ramadan, you declare Ramadan with them. So, but if they declare that this is Eid, but I only did 28 days, what do? You have to make up this day later on. Some ulama said you fast secretly. I don't agree with that. I believe you basically break your fast and you make that day later on. But what if they complete the month and it's going to be 31 days for me? What I do? You're not allowed to fast the 31 days. Because the 31 days for you is that the day that you're Eid. So in this case, you break your fast secretly, and you don't openly do that, and you pray Eid with them next day, as they pray Eid. Yes?
What I meant was, can't you apply the same thing for prayer, since I say prayed my 5 prayers for the 28th?
No, you cannot apply prayer to fasting. The beginning of the month and the end of the month is connected to the moon. The salah is connected to the sun. It's completely two different way of calculating. The salah is very clear. As the salah is when you see the sun in the middle of the sky and move toward the west, that's Dhuhr start. When you see the sun goes down, that's Maghrib. Rise, the Fajr comes, that's Fajr. Asr, the length of the shade of something became double, that's Asr time, and so forth. Sorry, when the shade of something is similar to it, that's the Asr time. Yes?
So can you do Dhuhr Asr?
No. You have to pray it on time. So you pray Dhuhr and Asr on the time of Dhuhr. Even if you're flying. It doesn't matter. Say that again? Doesn't matter. The ruling according to the time where you at when you start the salah. So if you start the salah, let's say you're in Houston, and the Dhuhr time didn't come yet, you cannot pray. Came. If Dhuhr time came before you enter the airplane, you can pray Dhuhr and Asr, then you go. Even if the time changed, even if you go back or you go forward, it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, you can't. No, you wait until the night comes, then you pray Maghrib and Isha. Even if the night comes after 10 hours, or 12 hours, or 14 hours. Yeah, while you're sitting on your seat, you can pray. Jama' and Qasr. Yeah. Say that again. Yeah, it's not going to be 24 hours. It's 10 only. You count from the time you pray the Dhuhr. Yes.
That
prayers in 24 hours. So that's like, for instance, I'm in Houston and I've got my watch like set to Houston time. So within 24 hours of my watch, I cannot have more than 5 prayers. Is that what you meant?
Yes, I meant that from the sun to rise to the sunrise next day, that's where you cannot have more than 5 prayers. But I don't mean that. Good point. I mean, like, I'm saying the 24 hours when it's the sunrise to the sunrise next day. So from the Fajr to the Fajr. It cannot be more than 24 hours. But it can be shorter. It cannot be shorter. Like, for example, I can pray Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha here, then we travel to the other person. My Fajr comes there before 24 hours. That's fine. So, I follow the sun. Whatever the sun says, I follow. So that's how I do when I travel. If the sun goes down, I pray. If the sun goes up, about Fajr, you pray. Because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wada' al-miqat is the sun. So you follow it. Yes?
I want to clarify. So let's say that we left. So you said don't pray more than 5 prayers in a span of 24 hours. But
in one day and one night. Let's put it this way. One day and one night.
okay, so let's say that my watch is still following Houston time, right? But I didn't catch my Dhuhr and Asr, like I didn't pray it. But when I landed somewhere else, it's nighttime.
Yeah, that's wrong. That means you're going to pray it qada. You should have prayed Dhuhr and Asr in the airplane before you landed.
So you still want to one night. When doesn't they start with the myself?
The day starts when the Fajr comes. And the night comes when the sun goes down.
But there's still light between Maghrib and Isha. There's still light.
Yeah. Sundown, it doesn't mean the light goes. It's called shafaq. That's where the Maghrib time is. Yeah, it is night according to the Islamic code. Islamic code. That's why Fajr is still dark. There's no light yet. But still called Fajr, Subh. That's the Islamic definitions of, it's like when we say the night of Jumu'ah. In Islamic codes, it's a code in Islamic technical definitions. So the night of Jumu'ah is Thursday night in our modern language. It's not Friday night, which has happened. So it's just a code or a definition, technical definitions. Huh? Yeah. There is a lot of discussion will come more inshallah about qada as-salat, and there is more explanation. I will keep it for that time about this issue inshallah ta'ala. Yes, you have a question.
I heard something I never heard before 2 months ago. Can you confirm that? Someone told me when you go into prayer, they already started when you're going into a prayer, you have to be careful because when you start and you feel Allahu Akbar, this is the ihram for you to get in. Then you have to say Allahu Akbar again if to go to the ruku or sujood. Is that correct?
The first takbirah, which is takbiratul ihram, is one of the pillars of the salah. The other takbirat, some of them are wajib and some of them are sunnah. So you say Allahu Akbar to enter to the salah. Then you basically, if you find the imam into sujood or into ruku', it will be for you to say Allahu Akbar, then you go to the ruku'. What's the people warning people from? That you find the imam ruku', you say Allahu Akbar, and your intention, this is the takbir for ruku', and you forgot to do the takbiratul ihram. This salah is invalid. Because one of the rukn, the pillars, is missing. But I always, when I hear this, I always ask myself, who in the world will do that? Yani nobody really, when he says Allahu Akbar to go to sujood, I meant the ruku', not the ihram. I mean, most of the people that do, they mean mix the two together. So their salah is valid, alhamdulillah. But it is basically something that's missing, that they didn't do the second takbir, which is to go to the sujood or to the ruku'. Which is going takbir to the ruku' is wajib according to the majority of Ahlul Ilm. Yes. If you're fasting at 11 a.m., if you're traveling at 11 a.m., do I need to fast from the beginning of the day? We say you became a traveler the moment you pack your stuff and you leave. That's where you break your fast. Because what if you change your mind? What if anything happened? So if you start your trip, that's why some of the ulama said you should only break your fast when you leave. They said, what if the flight got cancelled? What if so that's one of their arguments. But we say there is no qa'idah al-shawad. Yani this is not the default. The default is you travel when you travel. Khalas. Options, you cannot change the rules for exception cases. So I do believe that you became traveler the moment you have your baggage and you put your stuff in and you leave. And that's Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu position. That he said, إِذَا رَكِبْتَ عَلَى رَحِلَتَكَ فَأَنْتَ فِي سَفَرٍ. If you are in your camel, you are even inside the khalas. You load your stuff, you travel. And I do believe that this opinion is more consistent in many other areas in Sharia than the other opinions. And one of the things that we say, for example, في الحج في التعجل وطواف الوداع والخروج, we say if you're متعجل and you put your stuff on your luggage together and you load it, you are out. You do need to spend the night in Mina. You don't have to be actually out of Mina by that time. Because if you cut in traffic, you're still out. So sometimes the rules has to be interconnected with other branches of Sharia, so in order for you to be consistent in your position. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. What time you guys